So let's talk about personal data, because that's kind of a relatively new thought process that we've been working through here. So if you think about an individual, we're all walking arrays of sensors and walking arrays of modalities and technologies, and increasingly that's going to be the case. So think of an individual surrounded by a personal area network. Pick your favorite technology, Bluetooth, Bluetooth LE is fine. And you can array around it. In this case, we're showing a mobile field worker. Their tools will be smart. They actually have ways to collect media, environmental sensors, biometric sensors. Everybody's wired for sound. But what do you do with all that? And how do you actually harmonize that to make it meaningful? So let me switch the analogy to a police officer. At the heart of the technology that we build are two things. This thing called the context engine, which brings all that stuff in and actually decides what to do about it. First level of processing happening on the edge. And this thing we call the black box, which isn't really very creatively named, but it does exactly what you might think. Collects all the data when it's inefficient or ineffective to dump it on the network, or when you're not connected to the network, but the data is meaningful. Take all this data in, and today it's static rules, but an example might be police officer deploys his or her weapon, their biometrics are elevated, their location is not at the gun range. Those three pieces of data taken in unison probably mean something bad is happening, and we should probably try to figure out how to help this officer. What can we do with that data? We can now immediately alert command and control. We can prioritize their communication traffic on the network. We can change the communication modality from audio, so we're not blaring their location and their presence. We can switch their display modality to, say, a head-worn display, from perhaps a slab of black glass, as Eduardo talked about. Turn on the body-worn video camera, and immediately pipe that back to command and control. We can do all that on behalf of the officer without him or her ever taking their eyes or their focus away from what caused them to deploy their weapon to begin with. And oh, by the way, while all that's going on, we're generating copious amounts of data and intelligence. So increasingly, we're going to make that be an analytics engine at the officers in this case, and artificial intelligence will be applied to actually now take context and other information into account. So instead of static rules, it's actually adaptive and machine learned rules.